When friends and family members turn into bullies. Have you ever been hurt by somebody close to you, somebody you trust, like a friend or a family member? It can feel like a double betrayal when they turn into bullies. So today we're going to talk about how to handle situations where friends or family members start acting like bullies, and how to protect your emotional well-being, also how to respond to them in a way that will build up the relationship instead of breaking it down. If that sounds good to you, stick around. First, check and see if you're a subscriber here. And if not, click that button and the little bell so you get notifications every time we drop a video like this to help you have a happier and more successful life.
GILD Coaching. More success, less stress.
We like to be nice to our family and our friends, right? Because they're our family and our friends. Sometimes it's hard to label their behavior as bullying behavior, but sometimes it is bullying behavior. So first, I'm just going to explain what is bullying in relationships and how it can take form. So bullying from a loved one can look different at different times. It can come from belittling, saying little tiny comments that are meant to tear you down. It could be constant criticism, which is, bigger comments with more regularity, manipulation, or even passive aggressive behavior. That means they're saying one thing, but they really want you to feel something else. Like, oh, I super didn't mean to hurt your feelings. And then they walk away. And you can tell from their tone that there's something else in there, between the lines. So it might not always be obvious. Sometimes it's very subtle. Oftentimes it's very subtle. I have a few bullies in my family and I'm like, oh man, they're so good and like cunning. Sometimes it's so subtle that like constant teasing or little statements that try to make you feel small. And sometimes they will try to brush it off like, oh, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But what you need to know is it's normal to feel hurt when people do this. It's also normal to feel confused or even question your worth when you're treated like that. So understanding the behavior is the first step in dealing with protecting yourself emotionally. Being able to just spot the behavior and say, oh, I'm looking at manipulation right now, or constant criticism, and these are all elements of bullying. And it doesn't mean that you're being bad or judgmental by recognizing these things. It's okay. You have a right to protect yourself and you have a right to stand up for yourself. The second thing that you need to make sure that you have, and we've got a test. If you check the comments, there's a test that you can take to see how good your boundaries are, but you've got to set boundaries. Boundaries are limits that you set to protect your mental and your emotional space. So for example, if a friend constantly makes jokes at your expense, let them know it's not okay. Like, hey, I know it's funny. You get a good laugh from everybody else, but it really makes me feel bad. And I'd like for you to stop. And if they're like, no, I'm not going to stop. Okay, well, maybe you need to set additional boundaries with that person. Be clear with them, be assertive, and be very honest about your needs. Use I statements to express how you feel. So you could say something along the lines of, when a joke like this is told, I feel belittled, or I feel embarrassed, or I feel whatever, negative adjective. I didn't use the word you at all. When you say this, I feel this. I didn't say that at all. I said, when a statement like this is made, I feel blah, blah, blah. And you don't even have to say it makes me feel badly. You just say, I feel badly when something like this, because the statement doesn't make you feel bad. You actually take it in, you translate it, and then your thoughts assist you in creating that bad or anxious or stressful feeling. And so take full responsibility for it, but then feel free to ask the other person to help you not have to go through that process again. So another thing, I feel hurt when jokes like these are being made. I would really appreciate it if that kind of thing stopped. Try to just not use the you word, because you is very offensive and the person might be like, you're accusing me of stuff, and then it could start a fight. So if you do your best to practice phrasing this without the word you in it, taking full responsibility, it'll go more smoothly when or if you have to deliver these statements. Setting boundaries helps you to regain control, and it lets the person know what is acceptable, what is not acceptable, and that's that. Okay? You've got to address the behavior though. Do not just keep rolling over and letting people do this to you. Confronting the behavior calmly and directly without attacking, without blaming is very important. This can help clear up misunderstandings. This can also hold the other person accountable. So it may sound something like, hey, I noticed there have been a lot of comments lately about my appearance. It's really bothering me. So I would like to either talk about that or just have that not be a thing anymore. Use I statements, focus on how the behavior affects you rather than focusing on them doing the behavior. I feel disrespected when I'm spoken with like that or when I'm spoken to like that. So can we come up with some sort of a different way that we talk with each other, please? Sometimes people don't realize how their actions are impacting others. Sometimes people are doing it on purpose. A calm conversation can lead to a change in behavior. If it doesn't and it escalates the behavior instead, then we just have to go back and set different boundaries. Also, you've got to take care of your emotional health. So if you're about to go through holidays or events where you're going to be around family and you're anticipating some of this, take care of yourself. Self-care goes a long way. You don't have to tolerate toxic behavior from anybody. Do not allow their negativity to define your self-worth. You are so very worthwhile, and you are not, it is not fair that anyone would act in a way or say anything to cause you to feel otherwise. So take time for activities around any events that you know may have some negativity. Take time for activities that help you feel grounded, that help you feel happy. I encourage you to find a support system outside of the bullying person or family member. I'm not talking about you going to other family members and gossiping about them to try to get an alliance. I'm talking about maybe another friend, maybe a counselor, maybe a coach, an online community, which we have one. You're welcome to join. You can look in our comments or in the description of the video below and find the link to that. Talking to somebody else about the situation can help you process your emotions and gain perspective. I'll just say, don't vent to another person. I've got at least one, maybe two videos on why venting is bad on this channel. So make sure you look those up if you want, but only talk with someone else about this if you're doing so from a solutions-based standpoint. So when you talk with your friend or your counselor or your mentor or whomever about the situation, say, I'd like to explain a situation to you, and I'd like you to help me come up with solutions so that it's not replicated or so that I feel better about it. And that can really help you. If you're just venting, there aren't any solutions there, and all you're doing is spreading the negativity to this other person you care about. So we don't want to do that. Prioritizing your emotional health lets you protect your peace and avoid internalizing other people's harmful behavior. Also, another thing that's really important is understanding how to walk away. Sometimes no matter how much you try, some relationships just remain toxic, and it's okay to walk away. It's okay to take a break for your well-being. There's some family members who I don't communicate with regularly. If they call me, I'll answer, and I'm happy to have a conversation with them, but I've just stopped because they're unkind people without history shows that they don't have good intentions. And so I just don't go there because I value my mental health more than I value that relationship. So if somebody is consistently disregarding your boundaries, it might be time to reconsider the relationship overall, or it might be time to create some additional boundaries. Taking a step back doesn't always mean that you're cutting ties completely. Just like I said with my family members, they're toxic. There's some of them who I haven't spoken with in years. But if something comes up and need be, I'll reach out, or if they reach out again, I'm happy to be in contact with them as long as they're being respectful and positive, forward thinking. So sometimes creating space can help both parties reset. So don't look at that as just like a complete, you're dead to me kind of a thing. You have the right to choose who you want to spend time with and to protect yourself from harm. So just because somebody's been your friend for 30 years, or just because somebody has the same DNA as you and you grew up in the same household, they're, toxic sibling or something, even a parent or an aunt or a cousin or whatever, it's okay to make a boundary. I have a very, very good friend who years ago, her entire family, she's one of 6 siblings, and their entire family took a beach trip together every August, and it was 2 weeks, and they'd get this humongous house, or maybe two houses next to each other. And they would go, and she hated it. She loved the beach, but she hated that trip. And one year she just said, you know what? I'm not going this year. And my parents are going to flip out, and that's going to be their problem. But she said that every time she'd go, 2 weeks is a long time to be away from home, from your pets, from your business. And so she couldn't just take another week off at the end of that to rehab from it. So she said, I'm just not going to go this year. And I think she ended up maybe going for like 2 or 3 days. And then she took herself on a vacation to a different beach away from them to rehab from it and enjoy the beach. And then she came home, and she said it was the best. It was the best decision. And now that's what she does. She goes for this long, and everybody's like, why don't you stay for the whole time? I'm just not going to do that. And those are her boundaries. By walking away from toxic dynamics, you are creating room for yourself for healthier and more supportive relationships. So when you're dealing with family or friends who turn into bullies, you've got to know to recognize the signs. Just because you're recognizing this quality in them does not mean that you're judging them or being mean. But that's the first step. Set clear boundaries, address all of the behavior very calmly, take care of your own emotional health, and know when it's time to walk away. If you liked this video, give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell so the next time we drop a video, you will know how to live a happier and more successful life. I'll see you next time.